State of Decay 2 is a survival horror game, kind of akin to the Walking Dead universe, not affiliated with it, but it's similar in a lot of aspects. And it's probably the most similar game that I've ever played as far as what you actually have to do. And the whole point of the game is survival and rebuilding the community, rebuilding yourself from scratch, basically. So when you start the game out, you have a group of people, 2 or 3 people, and you find this location, this home base, and from there you're tasked with survival. And what that means is continuously bringing in medical supplies, food, gas, building materials, and all the other things that you would need to do in order to expand and build your community up from the ground. And with that comes the challenge of the game, because you have to do that while you also have to maneuver around zombies, you have to maneuver around other different factions out there that could potentially cause you harm or could be friendly to you. You have to manage those relationships and see where they take you. And you've also got to just try your best to keep getting through the world day by day. Out of all the aspects of the game, I'd say that the most fleshed out system is probably the gameplay, whether you're looting buildings in combat with zombies or managing your survivors. Maybe you're trying to build stuff. There's so much to do in the game as far as the actual gameplay goes, and it pretty much is the main shining point in the game. The story really isn't there except for surviving. Visuals have recently been upgraded to benefits the better hardware on the Series X or on the Xbox One X. As far as looting goes, when you do go and start a loot run, you have several different options of what you can do. You can either choose to explore things by yourself and bring a friend along, or you can radio in some suggestions of where to go for specific items that you need. If you're running low on medical supplies or maybe food, you can always radio in a command from the community, and they'll highlight some areas that you could go hit up for that stuff. But it's always wise to take a car if you can, because otherwise you're left to pretty much manage the resources that you have, the resources that you want to take back, and leave stuff behind along the way that you just can't hold on to. Another big aspect to the game as you progress further into it is building onto your base. You'll eventually get to a point where your community will need to expand to allow for more growth, and to help with that, you've got various buildings that you can add onto your base that will help you. You can add on different things like auto shops, you can build gardens, you can build hydroponics stations, which are basically improved gardens. You can provide generators, and you can get power and water and all this stuff. But as you get that stuff, it also takes fuel and supplies that you previously weren't using to run that stuff. So it just becomes a challenge of how do I balance everything out? How do I balance these things that I need? When you're managing survivors in State of Decay 2, which is another big part of the game, they will dictate what you need to do. Each of your survivors will have different quirks, different skills, and different things that they bring to the table that you can use. And really the experience boils down to what do I need to do to keep my people happy, keep morale up. You can choose to have your survivors specialize in things like medicine and gardening, or maybe go the mechanic route so that you can have better cars, or you could also do doctoring, and you could do gardening, or you could do motivational speaking. I mean, the game provides you with a lot of different skill sets that each of your survivors can use. One of the hardest parts to deal with in the game is the performance, though. This game has points where it does not run very well, and it also has points where it does run fairly well. I think that a lot of that is due to just probably development time, but bear that in mind because there are a fair amount of glitches. There's even a dedicated button that you can find in the menus that will get you unstuck if you get stuck, if your character gets stuck in like a building or something, or in a car. So that all being said, State of Decay 2 is definitely a diamond in the rough. Could use a lot more polish, and if you have Xbox Game Pass, I'd say that it's definitely worth taking a shot on. I'll talk to you next time.